Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck, and the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline.
I know. It weren't that good to begin with.
I mean, fair enough. You shouldn't have any expectation of us, let alone that we're going to do this the right way.
If you're listening now, we hope that you've lowered the bar considerably since our last podcast episode, which will make us look like rock stars.
Yeah, we just recorded a 15-minute intro with no audio. That's professional right there.
Nailed it.
Oh
it was probably our best intro ever, too.
We could reenact it, I guess. We could put a little dramatization header, like footer on the bottom, and we could reenact what just happened. Wow, that was rough. That's really rough.
You missed, for those of you who didn't get to hear the unrecorded version, we covered the highlights of Chris owned a pizza restaurant, his family, in where, Maine?
Farmington, Maine.
And Farmington, Maine is the home of what university?
The University of Maine at Farmington.
So Maine is such a big university system that has a substation in Farmington, Maine, called the University of Maine at Farmington, whose mascot was a what?
Beaver.
And we just did 11 minutes on the one proud moment, the
Before we say it, maybe it'll impress you, because now you know. They don't know because they didn't hear it, but maybe you know. Maybe this could be one of those things before we acknowledge what Farmington, Maine is famous for. Maybe we see if anybody else knows and they tell us. Maybe we could ask somebody.
No chance.
There has to be. Somebody knows.
You are the only person on the planet that will find that information not only useful, but the fact you committed it to memory is absolutely mind-boggling.
It was a big part of my life growing up. There's a big event once a year in Farmington, Maine. Hint. You could probably find it if you wanted to.
Go ahead and share it with them, because nobody's going to Google it.
All right, folks. If you ever have the chance to go to Farmington, Maine, wait until about early December, because we celebrate something called Chester Greenwood Day.
So you're one of those people that celebrates it?
Obviously, I'm still claiming it, yes, because it was such a part of my life.
But you're still celebrating this.
Yeah. You don't say you're from, New York or something? You say you're from Arizona?
Well, wait until you tell people what they're celebrating before we talk about where we're from.
Okay. Yes, because it's listen, this is an honor, and it's an honor to celebrate this man. His name was Chester Greenwood. Now, the claim to fame of Chester Greenwood, he was the inventor of the earmuff.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it first. The point of pride for Farmington, Maine is not their subsidiary of the University of Maine collegiate system with the mascot of Beaver, is what you said?
Who actually produces a lot of teachers, by the way. That's their specialty.
No. Their specialty is Chester.
No, that's Farmington. Farmington's, yes, Chester Greenwood Day. Chester Greenwood Day is to honor Chester Greenwood, the inventor of the earmuff. He gets his own day once a year, early December, so we can all come together and celebrate this man who created this wonderful thing. And people don't wear earmuffs anymore. This is maybe relevant. And
they actually have a parade.
We have a parade for Chester Greenwood.
Again, using the we.
Chester Greenwood Day. We have a parade.
It doesn't take
right
a lot
down
of
Main
to
Street.
Get a day, does it, Chris?
Have you ever done anything as famous as invent the earmuff that you're over here criticizing? I don't think so. But no, Chester Greenwood not only gets his parade.
I started a podcast with someone named Chris Flynn.
Well, maybe then
we get a day.
Let's petition. We could probably at least get a street named after us. I'm pretty sure. But Chester Greenwood Day is once a year, early December, Farmington, Maine. Right down Main Street, they do a parade where not only does everyone wear their earmuffs in celebration of Chester Greenwood, but the floats are earmuff centric. The fire trucks.
Right now, I just need to. I think it's important right now for me to apologize to everyone from Dayton and Scranton.
Yeah,
mocking
that's probably fair.
When I should have gone straight to Ferndale, Maine.
Farmington, Maine.
Whatever.
Farmington, Maine. Say it right. Farmington, Maine. So yeah, imagine the fire trucks, and maybe I'll splice in, because I'm pretty sure there's footage on YouTube of this. Maybe I'll splice a little clip in of the fire trucks go right down Main Street with giant earmuffs hanging over the side. It's pretty special.
It sounds like a Pixar movie to me.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe they got some inspiration from Chester Greenwood in Farmington, Maine.
Today's weather felt more like fall rather than a typical day in December right here in Maine. Despite that, some people in Farmington were still sporting their earmuffs, and for a good reason. Today is Chester Greenwood Day. He just so happens to be the person who invented the earmuffs in the late 19th century right in Farmington. So today was a day-long celebration of Greenwood's invention, highlighted by a parade through downtown. Those in town say they take a tremendous amount of pride in this day and would wear those earmuffs regardless of the weather. Everyone looking rather warm. This marks the 39th year Farmington has now celebrated Chester Greenwood Day, which is now always held on the first Saturday of December.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't our first recording of the opening. This is our second because we forgot to turn the recording device on for the first recording of our second season premiere. So,
Man.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to season 2 of the Bandad podcast. My name's Scott Lang, and he's
Chris Flynn.
and we're the
Banddads.
So we're pretty excited about this upcoming season. But
So excited I can't even turn the equipment on. I don't even have time. I just start talking. Yes.
before we go on to season 2, which you're so excited
So
about,
excited.
that Maine is going to name a day after it.
Ooh. Wait a minute. I actually never considered that.
Let's go back and revisit season 1 for just a
I
second.
think Wilton needs a.
So at the end of season 1, I want to know just a couple quick questions. Like, what was your biggest takeaway from season 1?
So there's a couple. There was one that was I think resonated with me personally, and there was another that was just, I don't know, it was very, very eye-opening that still kind of sits with me. And I think it may be because it applies to my child. But the first one was, again, it was the lessons that the kids learn, or the takeaways that kids get from participating in band and music education that are not a part of the useless curriculum, as Scott Lang called it in an episode last season. So not
But
really.
the fact that you remembered it, the
It's
fact
true.
that I said
I do.
it's you, because the thing is,
I
I
do.
think calling it the world's most useless curriculum is a way to highlight how valuable the actual activity is.
Right.
And if we just walked around giving platitudes and accolades and affirmations, people would see it as self-serving. They wouldn't remember. But the fact I called it out for what it really is had you remember all the great things that it actually does.
I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch. Maybe I'm just still so angry about it that I just can't let it go. But
I'm going to join the pantheon of Chester
Greenwood from
of
Farmington.
Ferndale.
Oh my God, he's doing it on purpose now. So the things that the kids learn in terms of, character building and, the lessons that really end up being life lessons, right? And the things that they carry through, not only outside of the classroom, but into their life after high school, and just the character that they build and all those lessons. I think maybe I was aware of some of those things, but I didn't necessarily know how deep it went, or, maybe I saw a couple of things here and there, but, the last season really allowed us to take a step back and look at the activity from a broader view. So certainly just those characteristic things.
So when you carry that forward, think about this, and our listeners who are listening to this, I want you to think about, like, our world is filled with former band kids, whether they're in a corporate boardroom,
Sure.
whether they're at a fire station, whether
Sure.
they're in a police cruiser, whether they're serving in our military, whether they're a doctor or a nurse, that our world is filled with people who learned their valuable life lessons that allowed them to be that successful through a high school marching band.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty interesting thing. So my wife, when we were dating and we were engaged to be married, she taught family and consumer sciences.
Okay.
And I had these goofy band kids that I loved. And whenever I needed anything from my wife, I would send these 2 band kids down to get them from my wife. And I'll never forget, she stopped her class one day and they were all laughing about, oh, the band director sent their band kids down to get whatever from you. And my wife looked at them and said, hey, everyone, date the jocks, but marry the band kids.
Oh, wow.
Because even back then, she realized the quality of person that this activity produces. And
Okay.
it's not just about the actual activity of marching or playing or being in a high school marching band, but it's the values and the character lessons that are learned as a part of that. That even knowing nothing about the activity, never having been in it herself, she was smart enough to recognize that the long-term gain is from the pain of marching band.
Okay. So get your frills from the jocks and settle for the band kids. Is that what No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No. No, I'm just kidding.
This coming from a man who celebrates Earmuff Day?
Listen, think about how many people were saved from frostbite as a result of that one man, Scott Lang. That's all I'm saying. He deserves his credit. But the second takeaway from the season was, man, how lucky we are that anybody survives the education and time they have to put in to become a band director.
It's insane.
It's absolutely nuts. And folks, if you haven't engaged with us on social media yet, one of the places that we have some really good conversations is TikTok. And we've heard from person after person after person going through these programs and were music majors themselves and talking about just what it took to go through that process. And I don't know, that just really resonates with me because I appreciate and I respect those people already, but I didn't know. I didn't know 21 hours a semester. Like I didn't know all these 0 credit things and, having to perform on ensembles and do that. Like I didn't understand the depth of what it takes. And now, again, my daughter's one of those people who's considering this, and I certainly wouldn't talk her out of it, but man, I already respect what those people do for a living, but to know what they had to do to get there, I'll never forget that.
Well, what's even more incredible beyond that is having gone through all those hours, the added classes, the 0 credit classes, having 145 hours and a bachelor's degree when a master's is 146 hours,
right.
Going through all of that work and they still come out completely unprepared to do the job.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, they don't have the training in financial depreciation.
With no budgeting
schedules.
right.
They don't have the training in travel planning.
Yeah.
They don't have the training in public relations.
Yeah.
They don't have the training in public speaking. They go through all of that and they're still not prepared to do the job successfully.
Oh, so universities, I guess that's not enough. You need to hold them longer. They need more. They need more classes. No,
and I said it in that episode that I do think it serves a dual purpose because I do think it weeds out anyone who's not prepared to survive at that level of intensity.
Sure.
So you told us what your takeaways were. What's something you learned other than the amount of hours it would take to get a degree? What's something you learned that you went, I had no idea that was a part of this activity?
Well, again, I hate to keep harking on the band director stuff, but I think the conversations that we had that talked about the depth of their responsibility or just the things that they're responsible for individually. It just, again, it doesn't register because nobody sat down and said, yeah, not only does this person teach your kid music in the classroom, they stay night after night to be travel agents, to book all these trips for their kids, to build their own curriculum, to respond to this thing, to respond to their administrators. To do, the fact that this one person has this depth of responsibility that they're basically running a business outside of their duties as a teacher. I don't know. I just didn't think I understood the full depth of the position itself.
So by any stretch of any metric, season 1 was an unqualified success. And
yes.
Your vision that you brought to life has resonated across, I checked yesterday, 900 cities.
Yes, we
and
broke 900.
14 different countries.
That is correct.
Hats off to you. But now let's start to look forward at season 2. So tell me one thing that you're hoping to take away from season 2 that we didn't get to in season 1.
Well, as much as we got into some pretty direct lessons and you helped me kind of see past, my very general view of things, I want to continue to do that. I want to dive a little bit deeper now. So we spent some time, for instance, talking about understanding how marching band shows are judged. Great. Now I have a little better understanding of when a judge looks at it, right? But now I want to know a little bit more in terms of, well, how do we get to the point of that thing getting on the field to begin with? Meaning that, again, we're going to talk about band camp and we're going to do that stuff, but I know it starts in band camp, but how does the structure of how this thing comes to life even happen before the judge sees it, if that makes any sense? Things like that.
That's something we're going to get to in season 2. And now that we know that this is resonating, people want to be a part of it, we're going to bring some guest artists on. Our first guest artist that we're going to hear in episode 3 of season 2 is Mr. Darrin Davis from the Pride of Broken Arrow.
There you go.
And Darrin Davis is going to deconstruct the show building process. How do you take that kernel of an idea, that thought, that visual representation, that 8-bar melody, that idea that you have in your head, and build an entire 12-minute production out of it?
Yeah.
So he'll be joining us in mid-August with show design part 1 and part 2. Then we're going to follow it up with his good friend and colleague, Mike Pote from Carmel High School in Carmel, Indiana,
yes,
who is going to do the exact same thing, but from a musical side.
Okay.
He's going to talk about how you take that 8-bar melody and how you extrapolate into not only a full show, but how do you take it and build it so it meets the needs, the strengths, and the weaknesses of that organization.
Gotcha. And
then we're going to follow it up with our good friend at Vista Murrieta, Mr. Donald Wade, as our band goes on the road. The Bandad podcast.
That's right. The road trip.
On the road.
That's right. To sunny Southern California.
Not to Maine to celebrate Earmuff Day with.
Hold on. Hold that thought. Don't rule it out.
So tell me one thing that you're excited to learn about. You've talked about what you're excited about season 2.
Yes.
Tell me one thing that you want to take away from season 2 that you didn't get from season 1.
That I didn't get from season 1, huh? Well, maybe I don't know what I don't know. Maybe that's part of my ignorance and why I loved having these conversations with you so much is that I don't know what I don't know. But so I guess in the same regards, here's what I'll say. Just in the same way that we talked about, people generally have a better understanding of sports because they participated in when they were kids, right? So it's the same thing for me. I can watch a football game or a baseball game, even basketball, and I can appreciate it on a very different level because I did those things myself. I participated in them and I know the nuances of them. So just like marching band, I mean, it could be the same thing. It could be a concert. It could be anything. I just really want to get to the point where I can almost see this activity in the same level of understanding that I can those sports, where if a particular play happens, I can appreciate it just that moment. Not the big outcome, not the outcome of the game, not the score at the end, but just that moment. I can look at it and go, I see what you did there. I see why you did that, and I can appreciate it just for what it is. And it could be, again, at the winter concert this year, maybe it's, I can see why the director picked this particular piece to develop this. You know what I mean? Like, I have a feeling that we're going to be able to get into this thing in a different way that I think we gave people a lot of laughs in season 1. I think we gave them a lot of feels to kind of hit the nerve and the heart of saying, this is why this is so good for your kids. But I still think we can do more to help them look at it and go, wow, I really get why this is happening the way that it is. And I think that just empowers them to want to support it and spread the word even more.
So one of the things that season 2 affords us that season 1 didn't is the ability to start from the beginning. Okay. Because we launched the Band Dad podcast in March.
February, the worst time possible for band. Yeah.
Because when you think of February, you think marching band, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
So we're going to start a season 2 with a 2-part episode that Chris is just super excited about. And he's now telling me it might even be a 3-part episode on Bandcamp. So Chris, tell us just a little bit about what the first couple episodes of season 2 are going to look like and what you're hoping to capture and demystify and explain to the band parents.
So Bandcamp itself is
like prison camp.
Well, I guess it's the one. It does represent the start of the school year for band, but it's almost kind of this fresh thing every year. It's like this new start to not only the school year, not only band, but a new marching band show. Like, it just really represents kind of the kickoff, which is it's like a big deal, right? It's like the season opening, like training camp starts again for sports. People get excited. They literally show up at training camps just to watch people practice, right? It's a similar idea, but covering the bands a little bit closer when it comes to media. I've spent a little more time in Bandcamp watching things and the developments that, again, there's things that happen in Bandcamp that I don't think parents see that I think they would appreciate. So the goal really of these first few episodes is for Scott and I to talk about some of those concepts of what's happening, why it's happening, and all those things. But then rather than to just talk about it, I want you to experience it. So I'm going to be there at Bandcamp during those moments, again, recording audio, basically trying to capture it. And it might be B-roll. It might be, a tech instructing a group on a particular exercise, or it might just be a team building activity, whatever it is. I'm going to be in the weeds during that time to capture the experience as it happens. So we can talk about it as a concept and we can share with you why we think it's important. But I really want people to close that gap and have the experience themselves as much as I can give you in an audio-based format of a podcast. And, maybe my YouTube friends will get to see some video, but I really want that experience to be tangible for them. So that's really the goal, is to bring you in and to kind of almost like a NPR style documentary, right? Where you're hearing the audio, you got the B-roll, you've got, interviewing kids and talking about their experiences, bring it all home, bring it all together.
To our audience that's, not 65 years old, is there another radio station that you could use other than NPR? All things considered.
Okay, Kenny G. Okay, calm down. All right, there.
Listen, I'm hooked on Leifei now.
Yeah, so you better be. I just bought tickets for Leifei. She's coming to town. She's playing an arena, and woo, Leifei, your tickets are getting expensive, girl.
So if you've not already gone back and binged on season 1, and even if you've listened to season 1, maybe you want to binge on it again in preparation for season 2, because if you can't tell, we are upping our game. We're bringing the best of the best on as guest artists. Yes. We're doing deep dive with live audio and live recordings in addition to our pre-recorded B-roll, and we're going to bring you things that just aren't available anywhere else, like the stuff we're wearing on our heads right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen the YouTube video, we are wearing Band Dad merch. Swag merch.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Shout out to our local friends, the Dude and the Babe. who created these awesome hats for us. I've worked with them in the past for other projects, and they created some incredible hats at Scott's request for us. And they're pretty schnazzy. What do you think? People say that. Can I say schnazzy?
I think you can say schnazzy. I think we have Riz.
Ooh. This is the key, folks. If you're lacking Riz, you need a Banddads podcast hat on your head.
So Chris and I went back and forth on how we made extra hats.
We
how would we give them away and who would earn them and how would we do that? And we came to the decision that, well, we can't decide.
We can't.
So what we're doing is we're handing it out to you, the listener. If you can find a way, if you think you've done something that have driven more notification, more awareness, more consumption of the Banddad podcast, we want to hear about, whether you're a band dad, whether you're a band director, whether you're a band mom.
Yeah.
If you're helping to spread the message of the Banddads, we want to reward you with some Banddad swag. So how would they get in touch with us to nominate themselves for some Banddad swag?
Absolutely. You could share the tale with us via email if you'd like to. So if you don't know our email address by now, it's feedback@banddadspodcast.com. You can certainly send an email with a picture, have of you sharing or a video message. Now, again, if you're on social media already with us, there's a lot of good opportunities to connect there. And again, we've got a really good audience with a lot of conversation happening on social media as well. TikTok actually would be a great place. So go to TikTok, and it's the Banddads Pod. But if you search the Banddads Podcast, you'll find us on TikTok. What you could do, something creative you could do along the lines of what we're talking about, maybe find one of these clips. We post a lot of clips that are kind of these impactful quotes and things that have happened during previous episodes. Take one and maybe either reshare it or stitch it with your own conversation just to say, hey, this is this podcast. Any little thing like that, I'll pick it up, I'll see it. And certainly maybe, again, you come out at the end with a really snazzy, and they're very limited, by the way. These are very exclusive hats. There's, besides the couple that we're wearing on our heads, there's like 5 of them. So this is super limited edition stuff, right? First issue.
We may even autograph them.
I'm down.
We will absolutely.
You want us to autograph it? Tell us. We'll autograph it for you.
So if you're interested in getting some Banddad merch, some Banddad swag, reach out to us via social media.
Yes.
But until then, just know we're already hard at work on season 2. We're already recording parts of season 2 and get ready for those seasons to drop in just a few weeks.
Yes.
And until then, I'm Scott Lang and he's
Chris Flynn.
And we're the
Banddads. Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. To stay up to date with the Banddads podcast, visit our website, banddadspodcast.com. Want to communicate with the Banddads? Send an email to feedback@banddadspodcast.com. The Banddads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, visit 5deucemedia.com. That's numeral 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang Leadership and Solutions for Music Education, visit scottlang.net.